Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. No better time to merge the brands of WNST and Baltimore Positive, bringing the politics along with Don Moeller and all the leadership and education we've done here, and really a civics course at Baltimore Positive, merging that in with about 30 years of sports stuff and WNST Classic and all sorts of great stuff. You're going to find that out on the website. All that brought to you by our friends at Royal Farms. Pick up some chicken for the game this week, as well as our friends at Pizza John's in Essex, where I'm finishing off that 12-inch supreme pie I picked up down at Back River Neck Road over the weekend. People in Cleveland don't know. They don't know how awesome Baltimore is, and they're not going to make the trip this time. This guy's made some trips in here over the years, mostly to watch the Browns get beat, but I got to watch myself because we're the contenders now. And a year ago, we were talking about the Browns being in the Super Bowl. This guy's covered the Browns a long, long time. He's always been a great guest. It's great to bring him in via Zoom. He is Scott Petrak, Browns writer for the Chronicle, Telegram, and Medina Gazette in Elyria, Ohio. You know, I think I'm going to come out to Cleveland this year. I mean, I think you might see me, and we're getting one pass for every game, so Luke's doing the home games. I'm going to Houston next week. I don't know what to make of all of this, but it certainly is a mess, and I would think it probably hasn't helped the Browns, has it, Scott?
No, it really hasn't, and I think it's been an issue for everybody around the league. But if you have a first-time head coach who's installing a new offensive system, you have a new defensive system, you have a young roster in general, and you have a quarterback who's pretty young and coming off a tough year, I just think you need all the practice you can get, and to not have any offseason program in person, to not have any preseason games, to have a condensed training camp. I just think it puts the Browns behind the eight ball, and obviously doesn't help starting the year in Baltimore.
Yeah, I look at this game. I mean, the Ravens beat Miami like 59. I mean, it just blew them out last year in Miami. And, you know, of course, it was almost like COVID down there. They weren't letting the fans in. They only let about 10,000 of them in, as I remember. The experience of an empty stadium, certainly that's a whole lot different for every offense to operate in every stadium. You know, it's going to help Patrick Mahomes 2 weeks ago. It's going to help Lamar Jackson down in Houston next week. I guess the silent football and where we are. I mean, come on, man. I don't even know you well. I know you through the radio, whatever, but I'm assuming you're a Tribe fan. You're an Ohio State guy. You're a Cavs guy, all of that. We've watched all of this sports. The NFL's getting to do this last. I am fascinated to see how this is going to be presented and how much it's going to change everything that there are no fans from a tactical standpoint, from the way the game's played, because football is it's like professional wrestling. The fans are a big, big part of it, right?
No, you're 100% right. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know how it's going to play out. I would assume it'd be easier for offenses to operate. You don't have to do a silent counts. I mean, I've been to so many games in Baltimore, and that crowd is such a factor, right? It's such a factor in the game. You know, the introductions, all of it. You just get that atmosphere. And obviously I think it helps the Browns Sunday that won't be the case. But yeah, it's going to be crazy to hear. You get the noise piped in. The Browns had a couple practices at the stadium, so they worked on the noise getting piped in. And it's a little bit of an issue, but it's not an issue like normal crowd noise. The Browns are allowed to have 6,000 fans at games. The governor just ruled on that Saturday. So there'll be some atmosphere. Now, I don't think it'll affect the opposing offense.
It's amazing what a political decision that is, right? I mean, it's amazing in a swing state where they're trying to throw it for the – I mean, it's amazing. Like, and for people to tell me 3 years ago to stick to sports, just that decision, just hearing that, I have to stop you and say that's a political decision. And the league, to some degree, it's a little unfair, right? I mean, and I don't know that any of this has been fair. I mean, you've been watching baseball. I've been watching it, right? They're playing 7-inning games. They're starting 10th inning with guys on second base. I mean, the Orioles aren't playing the Indians. You know, that there's nothing normal about any of this. So I shouldn't think that this is unnormal either, right?
Well, I think you're right about that. Yeah, I think we have to give up the idea of complete competitive balance. You know, and I think Roger Goodell said that. There's just going to be inequities. You know, some teams might have to play without position groups this year, right? If guys get positive and it spreads to a room, then how do you adjust? Like, there's just so many unknowns and so many new You're
By the way,
very.
I'm shocked that hadn't happened yet, like in a big way.
I know.
Like, I don't think there's any way that's not going to happen because they're not bubbled. And I think basketball has set something that's a higher bar, right? And they listen to Fauci and basketball's the one that listened to everything scientists told them to do.
Sure.
And it really is amazing along political lines that the NFL finds itself in a league full of wealthy Republicans who've backed this, that in certain places you're going to see fans along red lines and blue line. It's and how much this is going to play into the election the next 8 weeks as it did 4 years ago.
Sure. No, that is fascinating. I will say that I'm not discarding your point about politics playing a role in the Browns and the Bengals allowed to have 6,000 fans. But I do think the governor has, throughout this whole thing, been pretty down the middle. And he was the first one to cancel school to send kids home. And he's taken a lot of grief from Republicans. And he's a Republican mayor or governor, but he's taking a lot of grief from Republicans. And the Browns tried to get 13,500 fans. They thought 20% they could handle.
Well, the Ravens said 12,000 in the beginning, and then they cut it back, and then they said no.
Right.
And I always thought, like, in the end, nobody's going to these guys. I never thought, I thought maybe as a media member, I never thought fans were going to the games. And I thought it was delusional, like literally all summer long to hear, right-wing sports buddies of mine think, oh, they're coming with a vaccine September. We're all going to – I've never believed that because I listened to the scientists in the beginning, not the orange con man every night, making stuff up, quite frankly. But we're in the here and now where we're literally going to have a competitive imbalance in places because certain places are going to make noise and certain places aren't. I guess when I show up in Cleveland in December, there'll be people there, right? I guess.
Well, we'll see. It's a trial. It's a 2-week trial or 2-game trial. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if there's, the infection rate goes through the roof. I know the governor's worried about people crowding the bars around the stadium. So if that happens, maybe he pulls the plug.
Well, that's the whole idea. Like in the South, the whole college football thing is about gathering, and that's what everyone longs to do. I'd love to hug you. I'd love to hug Munch Bishop. I'd love to hug Michael Regai this week, but it's just not where we are. And I think the gathering part of this, right? Like that should be the concern for everyone. That if you open the stadium, the tailgate's coming with you. Right.
Well, they said tailgating is not allowed, but they haven't closed all the bars, right? So I'm with you. I think you can have 6,000 people inside First Energy Stadium and keep them separate, and it's outside and you're in masks, and it's probably not a big deal. What you can't have is all the Browns fans at this bar and that bar without masks, and they're crowded in and they're screaming at the TVs. So, I'm with you.
Not that Browns fans would ever behave in that fashion.
And it's crazy, and who knows how it's going to play out, right? I think the Chiefs have fans, and we're going to see them Thursday night, right? But then we'll go to Baltimore on Sunday, and there won't be any fans. And that's going to be startling to see the contrast.
Scott Petrak is here. He is the Browns writer for the Chronicle, Telegram, and Medina Gazette. You can find all his work. You can follow him out on Twitter. It's Scott with 2 T's, Petrak, just like it says on the screen if you're watching us out on WNST TV as we merge our brands. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Royal Farms. Pick up that chicken. Get it in your basement. Get it wherever you're doing your thing. Tailgate out in your backyard, in the carport, whatever. Yeah, Scott, part of this is, I think, for everyone is going to be whatever the road thing is. And look, I'm the exception. I go on the road. Every year I go to every game on the road, report and all that. But for most people, maybe they make one road trip a year, a couple road trips, and Lord knows we've taken some road trips with people. But for the most part, whatever your man cave experience or, politically correct fan cave experience would be at home, that's going to be the home experience for our people. I am a little worried that people might not want to go back at all, right? When you consider, I take 3 kids, it cost me $1,200 to go see the Browns play. This week, we had fried chicken from Royal Farms. We got crab cakes from Al Seafood. We made a weekend of it. We got our beer. We got our thing. And we enjoyed ourselves. And I think for all of us who haven't been to a concert, right, who haven't had any fun, who haven't been to the beach, who've been following the rules because they have a wife that's had cancer twice like I have, right, and doing all of that, we've looked at football as like the great, white light on the hill, right? Like when football comes back, we'll send the kids back to school. It'll be like a Jimmy Buffett song. And I don't know that it's going to feel all that normal, but I think the normal part of 1 o'clock on Sunday for me, other than the fact that they're not letting me in, I'm going to be on the couch with my wife. I'm going to have food. I don't gamble, but if I did, I could. I don't play fantasy football, but if I did, I would. Sure. A lot of that part of it for at least a couple of hours, it's going to be Lamar and Baker and you suck Cleveland. You know what I mean? And that unto itself is a blessing, brother, right? Like, so as much as I don't think they should be playing, and I don't know if they're going to make a Super Bowl, and I don't think it's safe, and all of that, politics, the knee, the orange idiot running the car, all of that going on, I for 3 hours, it's going to be Lamar and Baker, and I need that. We all need that, right? I think, right? Now that we're here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah, like you can't separate from all the crap going on in the world. You just can't. But I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to find some solace in or some respite in what we think is normal, right? What has been normal throughout our lives. And for you and me, that's covering football. So the last month of training camp has been somewhat normal. Now, we couldn't get within 100 yards of the players, right? We were out of training camp, but we had to stand behind the fence. You're looking through binoculars to try to get a good view from most of practice. But you're at least out there, and we're writing about football. And this week, we got a depth chart yesterday. We're going to talk to the players. It's a game week.
It hasn't been normal because we haven't had these crappy games and fans haven't been able to go at. Like, I haven't even watched Hard Knocks, dude. Like, I've never been convinced they were going to start the season. I've never been, and I'm still not convinced they're going to finish it. I mean, we got a president talking about fixing an election here and not accepting a result. So if you're going to tell me what February is going to hold for Lamar Jackson or anybody else, and I have people in my life supporting this and think this is cool. So, right. But for me, I don't really believe we're getting to a Super Bowl in any normal way. So I haven't bought into all the poppycock yet, but I'm buying in Sunday, and believe me, this is sports has been my life. I'm not rooting against, and nor is any sports writer not rooting against any of this. But I think the how we talk about it and how we talk about it is they're going to go to war on Sunday in Cleveland. We're not going to talk about it like that anymore. And I'm 52 now, and I'm doing something different, and I'm trying to take it all in for what it is and what the value is. But I also haven't had space for it on nights when hockey games and basketball games and baseball games, and I'm wearing a mask, and this is going on with the government, and this is going on with the bars, and this is going on. My sponsors are being shut down, and all of that going on. It is nothing about this has been a normal camp, right?
No,
but I think inside Owings Mills, John Harbaugh, probably as much as anybody, and the Sean Paytons and the Bill Belichick's, that they're good at this, and I think we'll get a representative product on the field this week that might not look so much like a lousy preseason game because of the talent. I think there'll be whistles and blown coverages and all of that. But I think we're going to get NFL football better than we've had Major League Baseball, as an example, from a representative product standpoint.
That's probably true. I'd be worried a little bit about no tackling. The Browns tackled once for like 15 minutes. They had like a quarter at the stadium. That's the only tackling they did. So you could see some issues there, especially facing that, Ravens running attack. But you're right. It does feel weird to try to like break down X's and O's. But having said that, I feel, and I get all your points about how crazy the world still is, or is in general, but I feel more optimistic that there'll be a complete NFL season than I did 6 weeks ago, because the players have been back for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And the positive tests have been so low, I wonder if that can carry through. Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to see spikes within NFL teams, and I think it'll be different once you're out of the camp atmosphere.
By the way, I don't think you want to be the guy that has to go in and say to John Harbaugh, I stopped by the wrong sub shop and somehow I got it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
And I think the shame of all of that, like whatever that would be, they started camp in Philadelphia where the coach walked in with it.
Right.
I mean, so I don't I keep going back to that. The league has made it very quiet, right? The last month, you haven't had anything where, like, Lamar can't practice because he has it, or
Exactly.
they have to throw him out of the bubble, right?
Right. But baseball has also calmed down a bit. Now, I'm not saying that they're out of the woods, but baseball's been different. We
Well,
had
the
all
Marlins and the Cardinals had
right, exactly.
flair.
But that was 3-4 weeks ago, right? So I'm just saying, 2 months ago, I would have said there's no way the NFL goes through the season without craziness. And now I'm saying maybe they do. Maybe by sheer will or sheer ignorance, they're able to force a complete season through. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I feel better about it than I did 2 months ago. And I think we're going to see a decent amount of football, which that doesn't make all the other crap go away, but it's nice that we're going to have some football.
Scott Petrak joining us here from the land of – give me a little preview of the team and just a general sense of where the expectations were last year versus where they are this year for the Browns, because you've pointed out all the deficiencies of having a coach that knows his players and moving parts. But this was a team that was considered to be very strong last year and disappointed mightily. Where's Baker Mayfield? Where are all the stars? Where are all the guys making all the money that were going to go win a Super Bowl last year and popping off, the OBJs and Odell Beckham? Yeah, OBJ. I'm to make sure I'm getting all the LBJs and JFKs and get them all right. Where are they from a talent level? And I know we haven't seen much out on the field, but what's your level of expectation for them on Sunday in Baltimore?
Well, they're still here. Obviously a whole new coaching staff, but all the big-time players are still here, which I think there's reason to believe that they'll be in the playoff mix because you have OBJ, and he's healthy after core muscle surgery. You have Jarvis Landry. You have Nick Chubb. You have Kareem Hunt. You brought in Austin Hooper. You got a new right tackle. You got a new left tackle. The Browns have a lot of talent. They have playoff caliber talent. The question is, can a brand new coaching staff get them where they need to be? Will the hiccups in the beginning of the season be too much to overcome? And will Baker Mayfield play well enough to take advantage of all the playmakers around him? And if he does, then this team has a chance to go 9-7, 10-6, even in a really difficult AFC North. Now, if Baker Mayfield plays like he did last year, that's not going to happen. If Kevin Stefanski's overwhelmed like Freddie Kitchens was a year ago, then that's not going to happen. I don't think Kevin Stefanski's in the same ballpark as Freddie Kitchens, but I'm just saying we don't know. Guys never coached a game before. But those are the big concerns. And the biggest question mark is Baker Mayfield. If he plays like he did as a rookie, the Browns will be pretty good. If he plays like he did in year 2, the Browns are going to go 6-10, and we're going to be talking about who the next quarterback of the team is going to be.
The Cleveland Browns are coming to Baltimore. We will be monitoring all things Ravens. Luke Jones is out on the practice field in Owings Mills. All are brought to you by our friends at Sporticulture. I've got my magma lamp out. You can even get a Browns one if you want, Scott. I mean, they make them there. You get a little orange magma flowing up here. Got the black magma on the purple base. Go to Sporticulture.com to learn more about all that they're doing there as well. Your sports fandom and your sports covering, and you've covered sports for a long, long time out there in Medina and Illyria. And for you in the last 6 months and watching all of this, not a political stance, but a civic stance on the Indians trying to rev this up, the Cavaliers, and putting us all into this space where, I think for everyone, there'll be some triumphant sense to 1 o'clock on Sunday when the National Football League goes out there. For anybody that does love the country and we were all surviving and trying to figure this out, that I get to hate on the Browns for a couple hours and you get to hate on, I don't know, Art Modell and Cal Ripken, whatever you guys don't like about us anymore.
It's weird. To me, I draw a line. I think there's a big difference between pro sports and college and high school sports. So I don't have any problem with Major League Baseball, the NBA, NHL, NFL, NASCAR, whoever it is, trying to have seasons, right? I understand the financial implications. I get that the players want to be paid and they want to play and they know what's at stake. I have a different reaction when we talk about the Big Ten, and I'm a Big Ten guy. I went to Northwestern. That's my team. I spend every Saturday watching Northwestern. I might be the only guy in the country, but I'll miss that. But I understand the Big Ten saying, hey, we're not ready to play football. I don't understand the fact that Ohio is letting high school kids play. That seems dangerous to me. But I draw a line.
See, I don't even know that. You know, like
Yeah.
from a case, I'm trying to figure out if the bar down the street is open. My friends at Amici's that I can sit outside or inside. You know what I mean? Like I went over there to get meat. My wife and I are trying to leave $20 at every place we can in our city just to keep things going. I don't even have the headspace to think about whether your kids are going back to school
Sure.
or whether, and certainly just getting their asses in a classroom and getting them away from a computer where we can get our society back to normal. To think that they're suiting up football in Ohio because, by God, we got to have football for our 16-year. I mean, that's insane to me. That's insane to me, Scott. And I guess when I land in Texas next week, I'm going to see insane stuff the way I saw insane stuff in June when my wife and I got on the beach in North Carolina where, like, nobody even owned the mask, and I've been wearing one for 5 months. Right. I mean, it's an alternate universe, dude. Like, I know. I seeing these kids go to school in Georgia without masks on, and the Georgia governor not knowing what asymptomatic even meant 3 months ago, and they elected this fool. So I'm shocked, dude. That blows me away that they're playing football at Kim Herring's old high school in Solon, right?
Solon, yeah, they are. They're playing.
Yeah, I pronounce it wrong. You know, I'm bad. I can say Parma though because I dated a girl there a long time ago.
So my grandma lives.
There you go.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's crazy. It's all those things. You know, and I get why people think it's important, right? We cover it. We think sports are a big deal. We think they help build character, all those things. And I get that parents and players think they should be out there. It doesn't make sense to me to play high school football. We haven't had a whole lot of crazy repercussions yet. I also don't think they're doing testing. So if you're not testing all these kids, then how do you know if they have the virus? How do you know if they're taking it home to mom and dad and grandma and grandpa? You just know. And if you just play ignorant, then you can play the whole season, right? If you never test these kids, or if you only test them if they get sick and have symptoms, which is, to me, I think that's how they're doing it, then it's probably not going to blow up. But that still doesn't mean it's the right thing. I still think we have to have. It's
scientifically foolish to not test people. Like we're never going to get me off of that politically. Right. That because I don't feel it and I'm not sniffling that I didn't carry it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
I personally, I had it back in January, and my wife was in the hospital twice in January and missed the Lamar Jackson loss because we were in Asia and for a week, and we came home from Asia in December, and we think we had it. So you know that doesn't mean that I don't think I can get it again next week, though. By the way,
right,
or carry it around and give it to you.
Exactly. And, and the high schools just don't have the money. They don't have the money to test these kids 3 times a week like the NFL does. I mean, that's why it's different worlds when you talk about NFL versus college versus high school. So, yeah, I'm with you. And I do think and the whole country needs to figure out its priorities. But the fact that we place so much importance on sports, and I'm a guy that's all I've done, right? My whole career has been covering sports.
Dude, my life is sports. Literally.
It's not that important, right? We can go a whole year without football, and it wouldn't kill us. But there's a whole lot of people that want to argue differently.
Well, yeah, including the kids that are playing college football, looking to make a lot of money next year in the NFL. Scott Petrak doing it as well as anybody. You can find him out on Twitter at Scott Petrak, Browns writer for the Chronicle, Telegram, and the Medina Gazette in Elyria, Ohio. How far is Elyria from downtown, from the Jake?
25 miles.
There you go. All right, I just want to let everybody know you're in the suburbs. I'll call you the Perry Hall or the Owings Mills of Ohio.
That's where the office is. I actually live in Olmsted Falls, which is about 5 minutes from Berea. It's about 8 minutes from downtown.
Not far from Brookfield Heights.
It's right by the airport, actually.
See, I know my way around the land of Cleve. I appreciate you, as always. Hope to visit with you again a little later on in the year. Thanks for being an early visitor to the new Baltimore Pods. We appreciate you, Scott.
Hey, good luck with that, buddy.
All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Taharka Ice Cream. They don't have it in Cleveland. I don't know what the hell they're eating out there, but we do locally. Your sweet vanilla ice cream with Flex vanilla beans. I've been sold on the vanilla. I'm digging the vanilla. You can get it at Taharka.com, serving up social change and making it happen here, as well as our friends at Royal Farms and Raskin Global. Leonard Raskin's going to be in here if you're looking to invest in be sane with business and money in this crazy, crazy market, you can trust my friend Leonard Raskin at Raskin Global. You can find me, Nasty, at WNST.net, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our WNS TV channel. We are Baltimore Positive.